Mountain News this morning, one senator wants to see more tax incentives for domestic violence shelters after seeing so many struggle. And slowly but surely, the state's new motor vehicle database has worked out its problems to become serviceable.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning, I'm Madison Carmouche. It is 6:30 on February 23rd, 2024. Let's check in with meteorologist Tim Drawbridge for a look at your forecast this morning.
Good morning, Madison. Good morning, everyone. Yes, a wet view on our camera from our WYMT studios. Temperatures are in the mid-40s. We've got a visit coming this weekend with our old friend, Old Man Winter. But it's a short visit. Thank goodness, because you're not going to like what he's bringing tomorrow. Cold, brisk, not only a scattered rain shower threat, but also snow showers involved. Don't worry, we rebound nicely on Sunday, back into the 60s on Monday. Temperature-wise, we're all in the mid-upper 40s. Some of us, as you leave Harlan and get toward Middlesboro and Jacksboro, are in the 50s. And the pinpoint Doppler radar showing all the action to the south and east of Hazard. We're drying out and seeing breaks in the clouds as you make your way further to the north and west. This little wrinkle, hard to discern on the satellite imagery right now. That will help produce a scattered shower threat as we head through the afternoon. So turning partly sunny, yes. It will turn a bit breezy too, with a scattered shower threat as we head through the latter portion of the afternoon. The high today in Hazard up to 57. More about the First Alert 7-day forecast that's coming up in just a few moments. Right now, back to the news desk with Madison.
All right, Tim, thank you. A Southern Kentucky man is accused of killing his wife. Deputies say the couple's daughter-in-law found Doris and James Brock unresponsive in their home. Deputies say 67-year-old Doris died from a gunshot wound. 78-year-old James Brock was found breathing and was taken to the hospital for an apparent drug overdose. Deputies say he shot and killed Doris during an argument. Brock is charged with murder. A Corbin man is facing charges after police received complaints about the man acting suspicious at a car dealership. It happened early Wednesday morning when Knox County Sheriff deputies noticed 20-year-old Matthew Gray trying to break into a vehicle. Police were able to bring Gray into custody after he tried to get away on foot. Gray was taken to the Knox County Detention Center. A Harlan County man is behind bars after police served him with a probation violation warrant. Last week, Harlan County Sheriff's deputies went to a home in the Wallens community as they were trying to serve Joshua Maggard with the warrant. Police say they heard a conversation going on between Maggard and his girlfriend. Once police were allowed in the home, Maggard was arrested after he had been hiding under a bed. In Laurel County, police are looking for a stolen car. Take a look at your screen. Officials with the sheriff's office say they are looking for a 2005 Chevrolet Impala. If you have any information about the case, you are asked to contact the sheriff's office at 606-864-6600. Senate Bill 214 was introduced to help domestic violence shelters. WYMT's RJ Johnson spoke with the bill's sponsor about how this would impact folks looking to donate money.
It's a way to help victims of domestic violence. Senator David Gates introduced Senate Bill 214 in efforts of creating tax incentives for domestic violence shelters. He says with some shelters struggling, he hopes this can take off some of the burden.
In recent times, I've seen that the need really outpace what's available. And so I was hoping to be able to find ways in which to incentivize people to give.
Gates says it is already difficult for some businesses to make donations, saying this will allow them to get rebates for what is given.
And so this is my way of trying to work into a private partnership, a public-private partnership, in a way of incentivizing taxpayers in businesses to make those donations and it says get some type of rebate, luckily up to 70% back.
The bill defines what a domestic violence shelter and rape crisis center is in order to be eligible for a write-off.
Obviously, there'll be the worry about any type of fraud. So we define domestic violence shelters to be 501c3 nonprofits. They're providing that basic service. And the same thing with the rape crisis centers. They would have to be a tax exempt organization to qualify.
Yates says he doesn't want to see any victim turned away due to not having room or resources available.
My worry is that when you go there and you go to the domestic violence center and they say, we're really sorry, but it's full. Well, they go back to the perpetrator and they put themselves in harm's way and their children in harm's way. And I think that this is a very easy step that we can put in place to work with the private businesses and individuals
to make sure victims are safer. RJ Johnson, WYMT Mountain News.
A new bill was introduced yesterday in Frankfort that is focused on school safety. Senate Bill 2 is looking to address the school resource officer shortage. Districts are struggling to find and hire SROs, and Kentucky law requires every district to have one. Senator Max Wise says the bill will create a program to bring in more help to increase school safety.
The Guardian program is not replacing the school resource officers, also known as SROs, but is an additional layered approach of school safety where a volunteer basis can be done, where honorably discharged veterans, retired Kentucky State Troopers, retired federal law enforcement officers, can become employees of a school district to be a guardian.
Senate Bill 2 also prioritizes mental health for students and staff dealing with traumas. As electric vehicle charging stations expand, a new proposal in the Kentucky legislature aims to protect gas stations. It's House Bill 581. Jessica Umbro breaks down what the bill would do if passed.
For an ordinance to say that you can build an electric charging station, but you can't build a gas station or a retail gas station, we felt like that's discriminatory.
State Representative Ken Upchurch says his bill, which would ban local governments from restricting gas stations in favor of electric charging stations, would let consumers take the wheel.
There's not enough of them on the road for the foreseeable future to dictate a city passing an ordinance that would discriminate against gas stations in place of or allowing for a electric charging station.
While Representative Upchurch says House Bill 581 is an important step in ensuring that electric vehicles are not favored over gas ones, proponents of electric vehicles say that they are confused over the intent of the bill.
I think we're just getting caught up in the general discussion about climate change, all those sort of things.
Mike Proctor of Evolve Kentucky says he doesn't have an issue with the legislation, but says the bill addresses an issue that he's not seeing.
I don't think anybody that drives an EV wants to see anybody that's driving a regular car penalized.
Representative Upchurch says he thinks the legislation will do well in Frankfort and that he's optimistic of its passing.
I think a lot of my fellow legislators see the need for this legislation because it's a direct attack on how we fund our roads in Kentucky.
In Frankfort, Jessica Umbro, WKYT.
In a statement, Governor Beshear said, quote, "We should be doing more, not less, to support this growing industry that is helping our communities prosper and our families secure good-paying jobs," end quote. Kentucky's State Senate advanced a measure that would highlight universities working together to fund and establish research. It is Senate Bill 1 and sponsored by Senate President Robert Stivers. Stivers told a legislative panel that universities would work together instead of competing for research to move forward.
These are the types of investments I believe we need to make to take us into a 21st century provider of healthcare, but economics and exploration, and as well as the research components that you're seeing many states go after.
Senate Bill 1 passed unanimously in the Education Committee and now goes to the Senate floor. Since the state rolled out its new motor vehicle database back in January, county clerks across the Bluegrass have experienced a number of issues. However, almost a month later, we are told things are looking up for the CAVIS system. Madison County Clerk Kenny Barger tells us they have seen a major decrease in the number of bugs in the system and adds that even though the adjustment period has been bumpy, the upgrade is worth it.
This is the tip of the iceberg. We're going to start doing electronic dealer paperwork. we're looking at, and we've been studying Clerk Association electronic titling in Kentucky. So you don't have to keep up with your title. It lives electronically. Those things were not at all ever possible with the old motor vehicle database.
Barger says there is some fine-tuning that still needs to be done, but even during their busiest time of the day, people should be able to get through the process in about 20 minutes.
And a good Friday to you. Wet outside, but at least a lot of us north and west from Jackson and Hazard have seen the rain come to an end. A look at the radar in a moment. Temperature-wise, not too shabby. Some of us colder than yesterday. That's okay. We're in the 40s right now. A lot of us minus Harlan at 54, Jacksboro at 52, Middlesboro at 50. Enjoy the mild weather. It's going to be a lot colder than that for tomorrow. There's the shower action again right along the state line heading into the Virginias. And we look back to the northwest. Things are drying out. And yes, a little wrinkle back through here rotates through with our scattered shower threat coming into play late this afternoon. So turning partly sunny. Yes, a bit breezy and forecast highs today as that late shower threat arrives late this afternoon. Up close to 57. More about your first alert 7-day forecast coming up in just a few moments. Madison?
Thanks, Tim, and thank you for joining us. The time is now 6:41. Still to come on Mountain News this morning. Today, the White House is announcing major new sanctions on Russia.